and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, as always, Michelle Graves, known throughout the United States as the Money Lady, and in the business of providing news and financial information that you cannot get anywhere else. Today, I am delighted, as always, to be in your homes and your lives. We have an extraordinary and exceptional show today. I will be interviewing an individual who is truly one of the most amazing African-American men that I know, and we're not going to waste a lot of time with introductions. We're going to get right into the show, but you want to sit down and you want to listen, because I'm going to share some things with you that you probably didn't know about the whole area of fundraising. How do these colleges make money anyway? And what that whole industry is about, as well as the individual who has been a part of that. My guest today is Anthony Fairbanks, who is Vice President of Institutional Advancement at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, and he will be talking to me for the next hour on the issue of fundraising, his own personal achievements and accomplishments over the years, and it's going to be a great show. All my shows are, but this is a really special show. So stay tuned, and we're going to get right into the interview and with this remarkable man. How are you, Mr. Fairbanks?
Ms. Graves, hello. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was an honor. It was an honor. It really was. So where do we want to begin? Where do we want to begin with Anthony Fairbanks? Why don't you give us a little bit of background and a little bit of history, because my show airs in a number of markets.
Okay. Well, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised. Had an opportunity to attend some of the best schools in the city of Cincinnati: Washburn Elementary School, Walnut Hills High School. Went on from there to attend The Ohio State University, Cornell University. I've had an opportunity to study at Harvard. I've had an opportunity to work at the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation, honed my fundraising skills at Haverford College, and then took those skills to work at historically black institutions: Virginia Union University in Richmond, North Carolina Central University down in Durham, North Carolina, Lincoln University, which is right outside of Philadelphia, and now I'm here at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio.
And how long have you been at Central State?
I've been at Central State for 12 years.
12 years?
12 years. And,
oh my goodness gracious.
Had the opportunity to work under the leadership of President John Garland, and currently our new president, Dr. Jackson Hammond. And so I'm enjoying my experience at Central State University. What your audience may not know is that historically black colleges and universities over the last 20 to 25 years have had difficulty in raising money to sustain themselves. And as a result, they've had to really cut back. And Central State was one of those institutions. And so what we've been able to do is put together fundraising plans, fundraising strategies to balance our budgets, and we've had 12 straight years of balanced budgets.
Well, goodness gracious, that's good.
Yeah, and we've been able to
that's good.
Dedicate 5 new residence halls. We've built 2 new academic facilities. We've increased our enrollment from, when I came on campus in 2000, from 900 students to now we have 2,500 students. We've added new academic programming. We've simply turned the institution around, and we've been able to do that through private fundraising. And so I'm excited to get a chance to talk with your audience a little bit about what private fundraising is all about.
Well, I want to hear about it. I have my own perspectives, because I went to Connecticut College for Women, which was a very elite women's college. I didn't seem to have a problem with money.
No.
And same with graduate school at American, didn't seem to have a problem with money. So I'm very interested in getting your perspective. And could you please explain to my viewers, how do colleges make it? Give me what their budget looks like and the role of fundraising in that budget.
Okay. Well, if you look at a pie, for example, probably 50% of a university's budget comes from tuition and fees.
Okay, 50% from tuition and fees. Okay.
Yeah, so you have students, and your enrollment drives that, and young people pay and parents pay tuition and fees, and I know about that because I have a daughter at Spelman.
Oh, you're broke. You're broke. You're broke. Been there, done that. Don't talk to me about that.
Yes. And so, so about 50% of that. And then you get, because we're a state-supported institution, we also get money from the state.
Now, what does that mean when you say state-supported?
That means public dollars.
Okay.
That means public dollars are allocated to Central State University to do public good. And what is that public good? It's to educate the citizens of Ohio, produce more minorities and non-minorities, but specifically minorities because Central State is Ohio's only public HBCU. We have a commitment to serving the minority students and graduating those students so they can then go back into the communities of Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, and become tax-paying citizens.
Right.
So it's to the advantage of the state to do that.
So now we've got that. They're a public, historically black college.
That's exactly it.
Is that in the 50% pot that we talked about?
No, that's now we're about 3/4 of our budget.
Okay, so we're into 75% now.
Yes,
So
yeah.
now the 25%.
That's where it becomes a little iffy, because now what has to happen is universities must go out into the public, and their publics are varied. It could be corporations, foundations, individuals, including alumni and friends of the university, people who have an interest in advancing public education, and then convincing those publics that your institution is worthy of their investments. And I want to emphasize something. Most people think fundraising is just giving. You know, I'm going to give you $1, I'm going to give you $50, I'm going to give you $100. That's not what the profession of fundraising is all about.
Well, tell me what is it?
There's a distinction.
Okay.
How can I explain this? Around Christmas time, you have the Santa Claus with the pot.
Yeah, right.
You walk down the street, you drop the $1 in, and you feel good about that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I've given you your money. The Santa Claus has taken the $1, and he compiles that with a number of other dollars, and he goes somewhere and does very good.
Right.
That's almost tantamount to just giving. At universities, the difference is we want you to invest in our institutions. And because we're asking you to invest, just like you talked about on your show, you're going to get a return on your investment. Now, what is that return?
What does that look like?
What does it look like? What is the return? You're going to get an educated community. And so as the various corporations who are looking for an educated workforce, you can come to Central State University and recruit our students and allow our students to apply their talents at your particular company, and they will do exceptionally well. So we're going to provide the training that you normally would have to provide. Investment, improving your workforce. Secondly, you're going to, by investing in Central State University, Central State is part of the community, part of the neighborhood.
Correct.
As a result of that, then we are working to improve the neighborhood, stop the violence, relieve the gang nonsense, having impact on housing situation where you have these foreclosures going on in a city like Dayton.
Yes.
Again, improving the community. Now, why is that important for a corporation or a foundation or individuals? Because their employees live in the community. If a company employees is living in a viable community, then they will be able to attract more employees to that community. So there is a direct return on investment. Finally, the educational school system. If Central State University is able to take the school system, say like in Dayton, Ohio, or Cincinnati, Ohio, and have those kids matriculate at Central State University, graduate from Central State, it improves the quality of education at that local level. Again, everybody benefits. So it's the proverbial rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
Fundraising, institutional university fundraising, it's not about giving money per se. It's about investing and demanding a return on investment. When you send little Johnny, little Susie to Central State University, you have a right to demand that they come out and be prepared to enter into the workforce.
I like that, because that's where I'm coming from.
And then our charge, our charge then is to make sure little Johnny, little Susie is ready to go back and work in that community, but more than just work in the community, be a part of the community, be a part of the solution to problems as opposed to being just the problem.
Right,
and so that's what fundraising is all about. And so it becomes very comprehensive. Let me give you some very specific examples. you know, this past summer, I'm working with a group of parents.
Okay.
These parents were high school graduates who have raised their families. And now they're looking to, what do I do now? My family's grown. I'm interested in doing something else. And so we got them involved in the community.
Now, these parents of Central State grads or just
some
parents?
of them are,
Okay,
or
some
just,
of them weren't.
just
Okay.
random parents.
Okay, gotcha.
Group of parents
Okay.
who want to do good.
Okay.
And so we got them to get involved, and now we have what's called a math summer camp. And so we've had 2 sessions. We've had over 45 kids, young people who are in the 6th grade, and we're moving them from the 6th grade to the 7th grade. And we know that all the literature, all the data says that young people lose information over the summer because they have idle time. And so we said, not enough of that idle time nonsense. We're going to provide educational opportunities for our children in the city of Dayton, and the parents are going to be able to provide it. And so what you have then is young people, parents coming together, teaching 6th graders who are moving in, rising 6th graders, who are going to be moving into the 7th grade, math concepts. So by the time they're ready to start school, then they'll be able to handle the math curriculum of the 7th grader. Now, what does Central State have to do with all that?
Right, because that would
Central
be the question.
State University provides the curriculum,
Okay.
because we have expertise in math curriculum. It provides the facilities.
Okay.
And so between the curriculum and the facilities, then we as volunteers come in and we're able to implement the program. And so you don't need a lot of money to do that. And that's really what I want to say. When you're doing fundraising and you're doing it right, you don't need a whole lot of money, because the community, the institution, the faculty, the staff come together and they're able to implement these programs that have
sounds like
positive
it's
impact.
a symbiotic
Absolutely.
relationship
Absolutely.
where everything is integral to the final output, which
That's
is
right.
this child.
This
So
child.
I'm assuming these
Positive.
children will ultimately, your goal is that they will ultimately become a part of that Central State community?
Absolutely.
Is
Absolutely.
that the long time?
That's
Because
the
I
long-term
have to
goal.
look at that
Then
now.
why are we doing that?
Why
Again,
would you do it?
investment.
Yeah, investment.
Yes,
Okay.
because we're talking about college,
Okay.
right? But here's the key. If you start early with young people and indoctrinate them into the Central State University ways of doing things, then they will want to matriculate at Central State because they're
Right.
comfortable with that environment. And then if we will know when we admit them that they are capable of handling the curriculum. And so that in 3.5 to 4 years, we can graduate them. And at the end of the day, that's what Central State's all about. Graduating young people and making sure that they go back into urban communities and doing positive things.
That is so interesting, if that is a part of your mission, that they are not only graduating, but they're going back into the urban environment. So you're not really interested in moving them into a traditional corporate environment that might be.
They may choose to do that.
Okay.
But again, I want to emphasize something. It's about getting young people with the skill sets to move back into the urban school environments so that they can be solutions to the problem rather than part of the problem. Let me give you some more examples.
Okay,
excited
I'm
about
listening.
this.
No, I'm
In terms-
excited too.
in
Well, you
terms
know
of-
where I am on that. Very excited. It's good.
Twice in the last 8 years, we've joined hands with Bill Cosby.
Okay.
And Bill Cosby has come and challenged the Dayton community to join hands with Central State University.
Okay.
And we've raised the 1.4, 2.6, my math is bad, that's about $4 million
Okay.
over in 2 separate Bill Cosby challenges.
Okay.
Now,
Over
what
a
did-
period of how long?
It took about 2 years.
Okay.
4 million
okay.
over 2 years.
Okay.
Now, what did those dollars do? It improved the education programs at Central State University.
Okay.
Now,
So it was curriculum based.
Curriculum
okay.
based.
All right.
Facilities based, equipment based. We bought the latest state-of-the-art equipment and so forth in terms of. Now, here's the key. Why would Bill Cosby do that? Because Bill Cosby, again, investments. Bill Cosby comes out of the urban environment of Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
He's looking to improve educational systems, not only in Philadelphia, but across this country. He has an affection and a love for Central State. He knows that
Really?
oh, absolutely.
Oh, my
So he
goodness.
knows
That's
that
good.
Central
That's
State
good.
impacts Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton. So he challenged us to improve to work with the educational systems here in the Dayton area so that we can provide more urban teachers throughout the state of Ohio. So we've been, for the last 4 years, since the last Bill Cosby Challenge, recruiting young people, providing them with scholarships, providing them with the kind of training that they need so that they can become urban teachers. But not just urban teachers, we're talking about urban science teachers. The literature suggests that there is a dearth of good science teachers working in urban schools.
You're correct.
Those dollars then, you combine the science curriculum with the educational curriculum. Now Central State University is producing urban science teachers throughout the state of Ohio. And what I'm saying is—
That's impressive.
You got one man investing his talents.
That's impressive.
Challenging the community. The university utilizing its skills and services, its fundraising team. You put it all together, you raise over $4 million, and all of a sudden lives are being changed. Because now you got quality teachers working in Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, and particularly working in the science area. That's what fundraising is about. It's about making a difference. Begging is begging. You know, I love it when I see the young brother. I see young brothers on the corner, right? They have their little cup, and hey, brother, can you put $1 in there? And you put the dollar in, right? Because your mindset is, I hope you use that to buy food.
I hope you use it responsibly.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, I hope you use it responsibly.
Hope you use that responsibly, right? That's more of a begging kind of concept. Fundraising is about getting Michelle Graves to give the first gift, the second gift, the third gift, the fourth gift, and you feel good about it. You feel good about it because you're getting a positive return on it. And you can see it each and every day of your life.
With your children.
That's
with the children there.
With your children, but more important than your children, somebody else's
Exactly.
children.
That's what I'm saying.
The test scores start going up.
Right.
The crime rate starts going down.
Right.
You begin to impact on young people and get them involved in positive organizational activities where they're learning leadership skills and they're learning reading and writing skills and improving their math skills, and they're getting involved in all these things. And so as a consequence, they're going to college and they're ready.
This is so, you know, I'm so glad that you're on this show because you're giving me a dimension I did not have.
That's what fundraising, you know.
I'm serious. I did not have an understanding. I know fundraisers in the traditional white sense, white community fundraising for different things, and what I think is different with your fundraising is the impact with our young people, and particularly African American young people, because that's a challenge today.
It is. The bigger challenge for particularly HBCUs is
historically black colleges.
Historically
that's
black
all right.
colleges and universities. You know, we're talking acronyms in these universities.
I know. I'm trying to bring you to the real. Okay, here we are.
Is that we have a dearth of talent in terms of fundraising. And so what we are doing about that is we are encouraging more African Americans to get involved in professional fundraising. And we're handling workshops and seminars, and we're doing training. During my tenure at the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation in Princeton, New Jersey, I had an opportunity to raise a significant number of dollars, and we trained over 100 minority professionals in the field of fundraising. And so,
really?
Yeah, so today they're now the vice presidents and the presidents of historically black colleges and universities. They've done well. Now it's time for another wave of training so that other young people can have an opportunity to get into this profession, with the right mindset.
I think that's important,
you know,
because it's not just a job.
It's not a job, and it's not just about raising money. It's about making sure that those who have resources are able to put those resources in places where they can make a difference.
Right.
A final example.
Okay.
We're working now with the Veterans Administration and Tom Joyner. You're familiar with Tom Joyner? Tom Joyner Morning Show. We're doing something called Tom Joyner Veterans Education Program.
Okay.
Last December, President Barack Obama said that the war is over.
He did.
That all these young people are going to be coming home.
Yep.
Here's what happened when Vietnam was over. All these young people came home. They came home to our urban environments. They had nothing to come home to.
No, they didn't.
We don't want to repeat that. So through the resources of Tom Joyner and the Tom Joyner Foundation, we're developing these veterans education programs with HBCUs across the country, 105, so that we have comprehensive programming available for them so that at the end of the day, they can get specific skill training, counseling services, a 4-year degree at an institution like Central State or Tuskegee or whatever the case may be. And then they then become credentialized to go into the community, entrepreneurship, start their own businesses, go into the community, and again I say, become solutions to the problem rather than another set of problems coming to the community. And so we're excited about it. We're going to be opening up a center right here in Dayton at the corner
for veterans?
For veterans.
Okay.
Working with them. And then again, it's about Central State and HBCU, Tom Joyner Foundation, and the community, the 3 entities joining hands, providing the financial resources in order to impact the problem, which is providing services to veterans who've earned our right to come back to come do good things in our community.
They certainly have.
And so that's what we want to do.
I could not agree with you more about veterans. I have, in fact, I received an award, I guess almost 18 years ago from under the Clinton administration, because I did put a lot of veterans. At that time, I owned a bank.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And I put a lot of veterans into homes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's important, that they use their benefit.
Absolutely.
You know, all the things that are available to them, they need to be able to use to their benefit.
It's interesting you say that because, as you know, the city of Dayton, where the first center is going to be has a housing surplus because a lot of people have lost their homes. And so you have a community where you have all these vacant properties just sitting there.
Are these bank-owned properties?
Some of these are bank-owned, some of these are VA repossessed properties, some of these are just people who have just lost their house and it's just sitting there. We're not sure who owns those properties.
Oh, wow.
So one of the services that we are going to provide is that we're going to work with the local banking industries and to try to find out who owns those properties and make those properties available to our veterans so that, again, they become stable, tax-paying
I couldn't agree with
citizens
you more.
in our neighborhoods, in our communities. And so they're bringing their children. Their children are going to go to our school systems.
Right.
They're going to have positive impact.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. There's a ripple of impact when you have a great university joining hands with the community. And that's what fundraising dollars are all about.
This is so amazing. My only challenge in this entire paradigm that you presented is we're in a daggone deep recession.
We are.
No, history will settle it the way it's going to settle it. And you're doing all of this preparation and skill banks and all of that, which is absolutely perfect because after World War II, they did the same thing. Through the GI Bill and FHA for housing and VA for housing. So how do you plan, given the condition of our economic system right now and the lack of jobs, you're preparing these people to go into the workplace and there is not going to be a lot. So have you anticipated this?
We indeed have.
Okay.
And what we've been able to do, again, fundraising.
Okay.
So fundraising is not all about dollars.
Okay, I'm here. I got that. I got that.
So what we're doing is identifying corporations.
Okay.
And saying, we want you to work with Central State University and give our young people an opportunity who are graduating from Central State to work within your company. So you're going to set us, I hate to call it set-asides, but for lack of a better way of describing it, set aside some jobs. And so we're going to be working with Caterpillar's just opening up a major operation here in the Dayton area.
Yes, they are. That's a good move.
That's right. We're working with Caterpillar to say, hey, we got these pool of talent, and we want to make sure that that talent has an opportunity to get employment at Caterpillar.
Okay.
Bob Evans, restaurants need talent. We're going to be working with Bob Evans to make sure that they understand the talent that we have at Central State and so that our young people can go and work at Bob Evans. McDonald's Corporation, desperately needs talent.
Yes, they do.
They're always looking
Yeah,
for
they
good
are.
quality
They
people to
always,
manage
yeah,
their
mhm,
restaurants
right.
because they're in a growth mode. Even in
Right.
the Depression, everybody goes to McDonald's.
They were in
So,
China.
if we can, they're everywhere.
serious. I was
But the
like,
point I
oh,
want to
no.
make, though, is that they need good people to work. And we have those people. We will have those people trained. And so it makes sense, again, for those corporations to join hands with Central State University and what? Hire our people. There, I can give you examples of where we're joining hands with those companies and saying to them, help us help you.
So let me ask you this. I'm sure that your spiel is not unlike the spiel of other fundraisers at other universities.
It's not.
Okay.
So why am I successful?
Yeah, I have to ask the question. The question begs for an answer. Everybody is looking to place their students in situations that will enhance the credibility of the university, as well as offer a future for those students.
Right.
So what are you doing that's different than others?
Well, let me say this. Here's what I learned in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh boy.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I should say to your audience that Michelle and I have known each other since 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade,
Something
like that.
ridiculous.
Yes,
Something ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But over the years, growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, here's the one thing I learned was that when you're behind in a race, what do you have to do?
You run harder.
You run harder. You run faster.
You run faster.
You outwork your opponent.
Yeah.
You knock on more doors.
Yeah. You gangbuster.
You go for it.
You go for it.
And what I'm saying is, yes, the Ohio State University is an outstanding institution, and yes, the University of Dayton is outstanding, and the University of Cincinnati. All those institutions are outstanding. But Central State University has one thing they do not have.
And what is that?
They have Tony Fairbanks.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to
But
outwork.
that's okay.
I'm
That's
gonna
okay.
outwork,
You're going to out-hustle.
outrun, out-knock on doors, out-present our case. I'm going to take young people to them and prove to them that these young people have talent. I'm going to come back to that corporation and to that hiring agent, and I'm going to say, how is little Johnny doing? And if little Johnny is not doing well, we're going to have a conversation with little Johnny. That's exactly it, to make sure that he's doing the right, get back on track and do the right thing. We're going to document our successes, and then when I come back to you, Mr. Corporate Agent, I'm going to be asking for more money, and you're going to give it to me because you see the benefits of joining hands. We produce.
You produce results.
You gotta make sure that they understand that, like in any investment, you can document the return on that investment. And that's what we do at Central State University. We can document through our professional fundraising team, through our president, first Dr. John Garland, and now Dr. Jackson Hammond. We make sure that we're able to document the successes of Central State University. And then we take it out to our various publics, and we don't have to apologize for who we are.
Oh, because no, not when you're proven.
Because we're proven.
And
so that's the difference. You knock on doors. We're constantly in the marketplace. We do events called, again, Bill Cosby Challenge with Bill Cosby himself. We've had Maggie Anderson, who's the National Consumer Movement guru, who's trying to establish more minority entrepreneurs throughout in urban America. And that's a show in and of itself, and I want to make sure I get the two of you together.
Oh, definitely, definitely, that has to happen.
We do something called a Night for Philanthropy, where we bring in every key person who has an interest in education to come and hear our story, to meet our kids, to understand our faculty, to see where, to invite them on the campus, to see the quality of the facilities that we have. And so as a consequence, when the fundraiser goes and talks about how we can join hands, it's not that difficult of a story.
You know, this is so powerful, and there's so many other dimensions to you. I'm going to have you on again, because I wanted to talk about your involvement with this youth program. I also wanted you to give a promo about what's going on with the African American men here in Dayton as well. So where do we want to start?
Okay, let me do this. On August 10 through 12, in the city of Dayton, we are having an African American conference, and it's going to be under the auspices of Bishop Martin, an outstanding leader.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
It's going to be held at Maranatha Church. a wonderful facility that is completely designed for conferences. We're going to be bringing in young people. We're going to do two things. We want African American men who have skill sets and who are willing to share those skill sets with younger African American men, youngsters from the ages of, say, 10 going up, on how to be successful in this country. What are the skill sets that you need? And so we're going to spend the next, from the 10th through the 12th, talking about those skill sets, and then putting young people in positions to learn those skill sets.
Tell me what the skill sets are. I mean, we can both talk about what we had to do to become successful, but when you're looking at today, and young people today are different. It's a different world.
They are different. But you know, it's an interesting thing. The skill sets really are the same. And let me take a step back. I was a knucklehead growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Did not listen. Born in the projects, had an opportunity to go bad or go good.
You chose good.
Young black males pulled me to the side and said, Fairbanks, you don't need to do this. This is not who you are. This is where I want you to go. Now, they themselves weren't going that way, which is really fascinating.
It is fascinating. Yeah,
but they chose for me a different path.
Right, because your destiny was different.
That's right.
Yeah, your destiny was.
And we would have conversations. And so over the time, I began to develop this formula for success that I've used with a lot of young people, and it's simply this. Can I pick this up?
Yeah, of course. I want you to let the people
Should I do it
see
this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. You got it. He's got a good one.
Okay. Now, it's not complicated. It's SC plus SE plus U minus FF equals life success. Now, all the old gurus, the guys in the community when I was growing up, talked about this, but they talked about it in a different way.
Okay.
But let me share very quickly, because I know time's of the essence. First variable, SC, self-control.
Discipline.
Discipline.
Yes.
You need to have a sense of discipline about who you are. It doesn't matter how you grew up, where you started. What matters is that you take control of your own destiny.
You're going to make me start shouting.
Okay. Now we can go on with that, but
discipline, yeah.
But the second variable is SE.
Okay.
It's self-esteem.
Right.
Now, in order to have control over who you are and what you're all about and where you intend to go, you got to have some sense of confidence. You got to have a sense that I can do this. And unfortunately, too many of our young people have been beaten down. They've been told over and over again they cannot do this. So part of the formula then begins to work with young people, trying to put them in positions where they can succeed, where they can feel good about themselves.
Yes.
And so normally what I have is a 2 at the top of that E, and which is SE squared, because I'm suggesting to people that to walk out of the lower homes of Cincinnati, Ohio, and end up having an opportunity to sit and have dinner at the White House, which I had an opportunity to do, takes more than self-confidence. It takes a sense of arrogance about who you are and a sense of determination in order to get that done. And so what I'm suggesting to people is that you must have severe, extreme confidence in who you are.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Third variable, you, is understanding things that determine success in this country. Now, what is that? It's performance. You got to perform. You just can't talk your way through everything. You got to do something.
Make it happen.
And do it well.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to master your craft, whatever that craft may be, and do it well. I mentioned earlier, what distinguishes Tony Fairbanks from any other fundraiser is that I will outwork every other fundraiser in this country. I will not stop until I get the words that I want to hear, which is, here's the grant for Central State University. It's performance, production. But that's not enough, because you also need to be able to have an image about yourself that says who you are, that I'm a serious individual, that I'm going to engage in conversation with you, and I'm serious about that conversation, and I want you and you and you and you to also be serious about that conversation. We're serious about what we're doing. The third variable in terms of understanding things that determine success in this country is networking. Exposure.
Yes.
You know, the part of the problem with our young people is they don't know anything beyond where they were born. And so
even with Facebook
all
and
that
Twitter
stuff, all
and
that
everything,
stuff, all
social media,
that they just know.
they still don't.
They know John Street in Cincinnati.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So what happens is they don't understand the power of networking. See, the beauty of networking is you got people who are working on your behalf while you're asleep.
That's
that's
powerful.
That's powerful stuff.
You,
you see, you got, but here's the key. That means you also have to work for somebody else.
Absolutely,
so
you do.
When you have a colleague who's outstanding in their field, then I have an obligation to make sure that that colleague gets an opportunity someplace else that presents itself to me.
Exactly.
So I'm constantly referring people for consulting jobs, teaching jobs, whatever the case may be, because that's what networking is all about.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. That's
how this country makes it.
Exactly.
You see, and you say, well, how did they find out about that job? It's not in the newspaper. It wasn't on the internet. No, it was because somebody picked up a telephone and said, girl,
here it is.
This fits you.
Right. Right.
Tony, I know you would be interested in this.
Right. Right.
You know, Central State did not. There was no big advertisement in the Chronicle of Higher Education about a job at Central State University. I was in North Carolina.
Right, right.
But when they said they needed a top fundraiser, my network began to work.
Yes.
And so young people need to understand that. So it's self-control plus self-esteem squared plus understanding things that determine success in America minus the
what
fear
is FF?
Fear
of failure. You were going to say that.
Fear of failure.
Fear.
Because we don't even try more often because we don't want to fail.
But you know, that is so real.
Failure hurts.
Failure hurts.
It's supposed to be a learning experience.
Right, but we don't posture it in America like that. We don't ever tell the story of how many failures it took to get the success.
No, we don't.
We don't posture that. I mean, we look at Abraham Lincoln, we look at Thomas Edison, we look at all these people, and these are white men, but there are many, many African Americans. That is it. You're going to have a lot of failures to get to success.
They have failed many times over.
Right.
But you never hear about that. And that's what we have to talk with our young people about. You know,
fear of failure.
You know, but the key is to learn from the failure.
Right.
To say, boy, now what did I get from that experience? And then improve upon it.
Let me ask you a question, because there is and it comes out of slavery, I believe, out of the African experience as slaves, where failure was like considered the end of the world.
Yes.
And oh, you didn't make it. I'm talking about business failure. I'm talking about personal failures. It's such a huge thing, as if you are somehow defective or deficient. And I share with people, it's just the course of life.
It is a learning experience.
Yes.
And you know, the interesting thing about it is that it does hurt when you fail.
Yeah.
If you've invested,
like losing a job,
yes,
you know, they say have a nice day.
Right. If you've invested your essence of who you are into that project, into that job, into that marriage, into the whatever the case may be, it will hurt. But then you do self-introspection. You take a step back and say, okay, what happened? What did I do to create this situation? And then how do I learn from that so that I don't have that same situation the next time? And so you begin to get better and better and better. The other thing about fear of failure is you begin to work with other people. That's why networking is so important.
You're right.
Because the network has failed as well.
Right.
So you got people who have learned from their mistakes.
Right, exactly.
And so they can say to you, man, don't go that way.
Right.
Because I know that won't work.
Right. And experience is powerful.
It is powerful.
Experience is powerful.
You know, when you're young, I used to say to young people, I don't want you to wait to get 50 to learn what I know. I don't want you to wait to get 60 to learn what I know. I want you to know it now, because you can benefit from my experiences.
Oh, as young people, yes.
The old griots coming out of Cincinnati, when they were giving me my experiences and they were telling me, no, you're not going to work at this liquor distillery or this job. You're going to Ohio State University, and here's how we're going to make sure you get the money. I'm going to call this person, and this person is going to do this. Well, Michelle, what they were saying is, we've already learned from these failures.
Right.
You can do something else.
Right.
And so
but see,
I
that's
took
the
advantage
power.
of that. That's the
power
of
the power of just that experience profile with the elders.
And
Those of us
what
who've been
happens
there.
is young people don't listen to the elders like we did
Right.
when
They
we
don't.
were coming up.
They don't.
And so that's why again, you want to know about Tony Fairbanks, I'm an advocate of community service.
Well,
because
that's me.
here's what happens. When you get young people involved in the community, invariably they bump into senior citizens.
Yes.
And then they get to learn the senior citizen story. How did you do this? Where were you? How did you end up here, Mr. Smith? And you say, and Mr. Smith then tells you his story.
Right.
Right?
What a story.
Oh my goodness
My
gracious.
goodness. What
They
a
got
story.
great stories.
They got great stories.
You know, I raised my family.
Yes,
My kids
yes,
are this.
yes,
I
yes.
started a business over here.
Yes,
I
yes.
did this. I did. And you say, wow, okay. And then he says, young man, you need to go here. Why should I choose Central State over, say, Ohio State?
Right.
And he said, and he'll tell you, well, Ohio State's a major university. You've been in small classes all your life. Can you adjust to a class with 500 students in it or 300 students in it? Maybe not. Central State has 25 students in it.
That's amazing.
Now,
It's a very close environment.
right.
Yeah,
So now
good.
you're going to have that faculty ratio where somebody cares about you.
Yes.
And so what I'm suggesting to you is that those are the kinds of things that may not be written down anywhere, but when you engage in conversation with seniors, they know.
I want to put this up again because I just want you to go through this. Those of you that are watching this show, and I'm sure many of you are and are excited, I'm excited. Isn't he a brilliant man? Formula for life success. Incidentally, I know you prepared this for young people, but I know a bunch of people that are in my age.
Well, I'm still working.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on now. But the first one was
self-control.
Self-control, which is discipline.
Discipline.
Brutal discipline, I might say. Deferral of gratification in that.
Deferral of gratification,
okay.
absolutely.
And then SE, which was
self-esteem.
Self-esteem, and you really want to double that. SE square.
So you want to have a sense of arrogance about who you are.
Right.
Extreme confidence.
Extreme confidence, or is it presumptuous to say fake it till you make it?
There you go.
Hey.
Because sometimes you have to do that.
Because sometimes you have to do that.
You know, but so here's the key. It's all right to fake it till you make
Yeah.
it. As long as in the faking process, you're learning the craft. See, what happens, you know, sometimes I watch brothers. They come in and they say, well, I'm a plumber.
Okay.
And they come in your house.
Yes.
And then I look at the tools they have.
Yes.
And you know they're not plumbers.
And you're like, oh,
right,
God.
no, bro, you
how
can't
am I gonna
fake
get them
that.
out of my house?
But you gotta fake it until you learn it, but you master the craft.
Right.
That's the key. Then the third variable is understanding things that determine success in America. And I'm telling you, it is performance, hard work, image, developing an image, and I'm not talking about clothes as much as I'm talking about
persona.
a persona that says who you are. I'm a serious individual. And then the third part of that is networking.
Yes.
Exposing yourself to new things, exposing yourself to new people.
Right.
Getting those people to work for you while you're working for them. It's a trade-off, but it's a good trade-off.
I love it.
And then finally, the fear of failure. Don't be afraid to fail. We all fail. Every great person has failed.
Yes.
But they've learned from their mistakes.
Yes.
And they've gone on to bigger and better things. And what I say to young people, and I say this to old people, it's never too late to be great.
Oh, not at all. Each day stands on its own.
You have an opportunity for greatness. And if you work the Fairbanks formula, you're going to get there.
This is so wonderful. I am so, I cannot even tell you, I had no idea that this interview was going to go in this direction. But it has been absolutely, it's been wonderful.
It has been
wonderful. And to see these principles absolutely operative in your life, because I do know where you came from.
Absolutely.
And of course you know where I came from as well.
Absolutely.
And then to see that throughout life, here we are now in our 60s.
60s.
Yeah, yeah, I know how old you are.
I don't admit to that.
I don't care.
I just say I'm over
know.
30.
Okay. I tell them, if you can look like me,
There you go.
then you work it.
There you
That's
go.
all I got to say. You know,
There
if you
you
can look
go.
like me, you can work it. But I think this is absolutely amazing, and particularly since you're in a university educational setting. What do you see the challenges facing young people today?
If one, this is a credentialed society.
Yes, it is.
So I say to young people, you have to, one, stay in school, get your high school diploma. The idea of dropping out of high school today is just, it's a non-starter.
Preposterous.
It's a non-starter.
Right,
Okay.
right. But
that's
yet
not
so
enough.
many do.
Yes, I know. And
yet
we're
so
going to
many
be
do.
we're going to be talking with some young people at this African American conference on August 10 through 12.
Is it African American men or women?
African American men. It's about men. It's about men. Because I think men have got to get this together. But
I understand.
But the point though is we're going to be talking about that. But you need a high school diploma, it's credential society, and then you need to go on to college.
Yes.
2-year institution, 4-year institution. Now, I want you to come to an institution like Central State because Central State has a reputation of providing that nourishing environment where young people can graduate.
But 25 people is a good, I mean, that's private school.
That's private school stuff.
Yeah,
now,
that is.
Most people will say that it's about money. Do I have the money to go to school? And yes, it does cost money to go to college.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, I say to people, if you are about something, then guess what? The universe, the forces of the universe.
Oh, God's going to move you.
You're going to move you.
He's going to move you.
He's going to find it.
He's going to find it.
I can't tell you how
Gonna
many young people walk in my office and they say, Mr. Fairbanks, I'm going to have to go home because I don't have the money. And then we make 3 or 4 phone calls. We call Detroit, we call Chicago, we get the right person, and we find the money. Now, the student has an obligation. And what is that obligation?
What is that?
You bring me grades.
Oh, performance.
There you go. See, it always goes back to you understanding things that determine success.
Play this tape.
Performance. Bring me grades. Don't come to me and tell me that you want people to invest in you.
And you don't produce.
You don't produce. And a 1.6 or 1.9 is not production.
No.
And you can't explain that to me. There you go. There you go.
You gotta go.
So what happened? It's really fascinating. How it all works together.
Yeah.
See, in fundraising, it all comes back together.
It's amazing.
So when I go into someone's home, I go into Miss Smith home. I know you run out of time, but let me tell you this real quick.
No, please. They haven't told me to get off yet.
I go into Mrs. Smith home and I sit at her table. And she says, baby, you know, I graduated from Central State University in 1957. And without that university, I would not be who I am today. And so I want to do something for somebody else. Okay. I said, well, Miss Smith, what do you have in mind? She says, well, my kids are all grown and they're all done well. And so I'm getting ready to move into a nursing home, retirement home. And so I want to give this house to the university and set up this endowment.
Right.
And then she says, what I want you to promise me, Mr. Fairbanks, is that you're going to give it to somebody who's going to take advantage of the investment. And so then I say to them, I will send you a letter. I will come visit you each and every year. And I'll give you the names of the people who took advantage of your scholarship.
Whew, that's hot. That's good.
So now,
that's good.
So now Miss Smith is happy.
Right.
Right? Because her dollars are going to something.
Right.
And when Miss Smith moves on, passes on, her family is also connected, so they're happy that their mother has a scholarship in their name and is being helpful.
Right.
The student has an obligation to perform, and I make sure that happens. Otherwise, I'm taking that money back.
Oh, definitely.
And the school has a responsibility to make sure that that young person gets a quality education. So again, everybody benefits. That's what fundraising is all about.
The endowment component is very important.
Absolutely.
And a lot of African Americans do not know. As, again, a financial advisor, one of the things I share with people is that you have a responsibility to pass that on to a legacy.
Establish your legacy. your church,
but the
community
tax
group.
laws are so constructed where you can benefit them while experiencing benefit as well. Are you doing much of that?
We do that in
Okay.
terms of our planned giving.
Okay, good. The
You
planned
know,
giving is very important.
That's right. We
Very important.
do life insurance
Good,
campaigns.
good,
We do
good,
wills
good.
campaigns.
Good.
We talk with people how to pool their investment
Right,
funds.
right.
Again, these different strategies, these different instruments, so that it only takes a little bit to make a big difference. And that's what
Right.
our people don't understand. You know, one of my biggest frustrations at HBCUs is the understanding that a small gift is just as important as a major gift.
It's all money.
It's money.
It's green stuff.
We have a persona or an attitude that says, if you know, Fairbanks, if I can't give you $10,000, I can't give you nothing.
That
And I said,
doesn't
no,
work.
no, I'd rather for you to give me $100 every month or every year,
Right, right.
for 10
Right,
years,
right.
then you struggle and somehow come up with this $10,000.
Because it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
That's
it never
not how
will
money
happen.
works.
It
That's
doesn't
not
work
how
that
money
way.
works.
It doesn't
It
work
is
that
not.
way.
It's a little bit at a
You
time.
give at a comfort level. You support those activities at a level that is comfortable for you. You tithe in the church at your level.
Right.
God didn't say give 10% of Michelle's cut. He said give 10% of somebody else's, of your cut.
own stuff.
Your
Right,
own stuff.
Right.
And so that's what we have to get people to understand when it comes to investing in universities, community groups, churches, and what have you. And unfortunately, that's not the way that's not a mindset of our community, but it's changing.
Oh, I believe it is, because
It's
back to
changing.
this fear of failure.
Right, it's changing.
Which is,
we're getting
you
the word
know,
out.
the legacy. You
We're getting the
have
word.
to leave something
You know,
for the next generation.
right. You know, the idea is, and I say this to people, you receive awards for what you give. You very rarely will receive awards for what you receive.
Right.
We want people to give, but give at a level that's comfortable for you. You know, so everybody has the opportunity to be a philanthropist.
Everyone.
Everyone, you know.
Everyone.
Everyone has an opportunity to be great. You know, one of the interesting things that Martin Luther King did was in his drum major speech. He talked about the concept of greatness, and he said simply that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Serving through giving,
Right.
which is actually giving money.
Right.
Serving through giving of your time, of yourself.
Right.
Either or a combination of both, then you can achieve greatness. And that's what we want people who join hands with Central State to be. Great.
This is so amazing. Well, you have to know that since a child I've been focused on service.
There you go.
No, Red Cross. I was the president of Red Cross at Walnut Hills. I thought about that, 10th grade,
Yeah.
and raising money for people in Mexico and Guatemala. But I think that without service, your life does not have context.
It does not.
And it does not have content. So you
I
have
agree.
to be willing to move outside of your narrow boundaries and to recognize that it is only through the process of opening up and giving of your time, your resources, your vision, this type of thing is powerful, that you begin to understand really that the power is in the giving.
The power is in the giving.
It is in the giving. This has been amazing. Will you come back on?
I will.
Okay, I appreciate it so much because we didn't get to go. There are some things I wanted to go into more depth with about you and about your life and about just some of the things you did well, some of the things you just blew up, and just really get into that. But we'll have to do that at another time. And for those of you that are listening in on today's segment of The Power of Money, wasn't this an amazing 1 hour? Really, to have this kind of a man in my studio where he's willing to give up his time and to share his experience as a vice president of institutional advancement, a fancy word for raising money, at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. We're blessed to have him in the state of Ohio, bringing his vision and his brand of service. And for those of you that would like to get more information about what he does, please feel comfortable in contacting the university. If you'd like to give, if you're an alum, you know you need to be writing out checks, stop being grimy, get off the money, and pass your legacy on to younger people. And again, as a part of my commitment to bring you cutting edge information, exciting interviews, in-depth stories, I thank you for being a part of my world for this past hour. I'm Michelle Graves, nationally known as the Money Lady since 1976, and he'd probably say before then, in the world of money. And I thank you so much for being a part of my world today. God bless you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on our next show. Don't forget to go to YouTube if you'd like to catch up on previous episodes. Go to youtube.com/The Power of Money. Or you can just type in Michelle Graves, The Power of Money, and you'll get tons of videos and stories and good people, including Mr. Anthony Fairbanks. You take care, and I'll see you soon.
We did it. All right.
We're done.
We got through it.
We got